Hey guys, welcome back to the Readers. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. So, picture this. I move into what's supposed to be a quiet, suburban neighborhood in early 2022, thinking I'm finally going to get that peace and quiet everyone dreams about. But instead, I walk right into the middle of a petty little kingdom, ruled with an iron fist by our HOA president. Let's call him Richard. And let me tell you, Richard was the absolute worst kind of leader. The type who gets off on making everyone's life harder, but the second you ask him to play by the same rules, suddenly, the rules don't exist. Now, you know those ridiculous HOA stories you hear about, with people getting fined $200 because their trash cans are out for, 30 seconds past 9 a.m.? Yeah, that was Richard's kind of fun. But if you took a stroll past his own yard, you'd see a mess, random structures popping up everywhere. A fence that looked more like a fortress than anything legal, and not a care in the world for city codes. The kicker, though, he was using the HOA as his own personal ATM. At first, I tried to handle things like an adult. My fence, just a shade off because the official stain wasn't in stock, gets me a $500 fine. I show him the receipts, explain the situation, ask if he can just use some common sense. He just folds his arms, gives me this smug little grin, and says, "Rules are rules. Maybe next time you'll plan ahead better." He turns and walks off, waving me away like I'm a fly at his barbecue. That's when I knew. I wasn't just going to sit back and take it. I wasn't going to fight dirty or cause a scene, though. No, I was going to take this guy down by the book. Methodically, legally, in a way he'd never see coming. Step 1. Get on the inside. Richard thought I was harmless, so I joined the HOA board. Just another eager neighbor, pretending I wanted to get involved. For 2 years, from 2022 to 2024, I was at every meeting, keeping my head down, just watching the way he moved. The way he controlled everything, bullying other board members, drowning people in paperwork, calling surprise votes when only his friends were there, losing forms that made him look bad. I watched him steamroll Maria, who's lived here forever, for daring to ask about fixing the playground. Her grandson gets a splinter, Richard sighs, tells her to submit the same paperwork for the 3rd time. She says she already did. He shrugs. Maybe try email next time. Classic. I knew I had to outlast him, bide my time, then make my move. But then I noticed something wasn't adding up with the money. Fees here were way higher than in other neighborhoods. Yet the pool was closed half the summer, the landscaping was trashed, nothing ever got done. As the treasurer, Richard had all the access. But if you asked to see the books, he'd pat you on the shoulder, chuckle, "Don't worry your pretty little head about it." Come on, dude. So, I went official, filed the paperwork to see the financials. Weeks went by, nothing. That's when I started talking to the neighbors, just to see if I was the only one getting this treatment. Oh man, turns out there was a whole club of us. James, a contractor, tells me Richard just happened to get a brand new patio, right after we all paid a special assessment for pool repairs. Priya, across the street, says she saw Richard's kids having pool parties when it was supposedly closed for maintenance. I mean, really? Now I had backup. I filed a formal complaint with the board, which meant Richard had to cough up the documents. Eventually, he handed over this chaotic pile of receipts and invoices, half missing, half made up. Landscaping fees to a company that didn't exist. $15,000 gone. Contractor payments going straight to Richard and his shady buddy Kevin. It was like a bad crime show, except it was our actual money. I spent weeks building the case, cross-referencing bank statements, tracking down fake companies, even getting notarized statements from people who'd seen Richard pulling stunts firsthand. My wife would watch me at the kitchen table late at night, spreadsheets everywhere, and ask, "Are you sure you want to do this?" He seems vindictive. I just said, "If not me, then who?" Finally, the annual HOA meeting rolls around, April 2024. Normally, nobody shows up, but this time I spent 2 solid weeks knocking on doors, telling everyone just enough to make M mad and curious. The room was packed. Richard tries to run things as usual, talking about how hard he works, how he's sacrificed so much. That's when I stood up, asked him if he could explain some discrepancies in the budget. His face, oh, you should have seen it. I started passing out copies of my report. The whispering turned to shouting. Eleanor, the neighborhood matriarch, demanded, "Is this true? $5,000 for pool repairs that never happened." Richard tries to brush it off. Then I point to a payment to his brother-in-law's imaginary company. He bangs the gavel, tries to adjourn the meeting. I said, "You can't adjourn what you no longer control." I call for a vote to remove Richard as president. All in favor. It was like a tidal wave. Hands everywhere. By the end of the night, Richard was gone. But I wasn't done. We brought in an outside auditor, and it turns out Richard had embezzled over 50 grand, blown tens of thousands more, committed actual fraud. We called the cops, filed a civil suit to recover the money. Maria, bless her, just shook her head at the next board meeting. We should have demanded answers years ago. I just said, better late than never. Now we make sure it never happens again. Oh, and remember Kevin, the crooked contractor? Banned from doing business in the whole county. Richard had to sell his house, pay restitution, and his name's now basically a joke. We rewrote the HOA bylaws, put in term limits, require multiple approvals for any spending, and made every budget and meeting minute available online for everyone. The pool is sparkling, landscaping's beautiful, and, surprise, our HOA fees are finally lower. Every time I walk past Richard's old place, now owned by the sweetest family, I can't help but smile. The cherry on top? Richard tried to join another HOA in the next town over. They Googled his name and laughed him out of the room. Justice wasn't just served, it was a 5-course meal. Let me throw you another one, a little more rural this time. About 15 years ago, I bought a place with this beautiful old barn. 100 years standing, chickens and goats in the yard, woodworking projects stacked in the corner. Out in the county, no city rules to fuss over. We had the friendliest neighbors, just waving and minding their own business. The barn was grandfathered in, paperwork for days. It was perfect. Then comes the new HOA president, straight out of suburbia, thinking he's about to turn our neighborhood into some cookie-cutter paradise. Suddenly, everybody's getting letters about fences, gardens, ridiculous stuff. And of course, my barn's next. I get a certified letter on my door, 30 days to prove my barn's legal or tear it down. I laugh, because really? I've got a stack of documentation taller than the barn itself. I send it all in, politely. But this guy won't let it go. He comes back with another letter, now saying that because I used the barn for goats and woodworking, not dairy cows, it doesn't count as grandfathered. Threatens $500 daily fines. You can't make this up. I schedule a meeting with the zoning office. The clerk there actually apologizes for the headache, pulls my records, and says everything's legal, the use doesn't matter. But then she mentions, offhand, just chatting, that the county owns a weird little strip of land right between my place and the president's. Been trying to sell it for years. Well now, I buy it for 9 grand, quick as you please. Turns out, if you own 2 adjoining agricultural parcels, you can consolidate them for extra protections, including exemption from HOA oversight. 3 weeks later, I've got the official status, and suddenly the HOA has no say over my barn, my goats, my chickens, or anything else as long as I'm following county rules. But I didn't stop there. I built a new storage shed, fully permitted, right on the edge of my new land, next to the president's property. Expanded the chicken run. He storms over, angry as a hornet, demanding I get HOA approval. I just show him the paperwork and the county code. He sputters, threatens lawyers, then stomps off. The next week, he tries to find me again. I reply with copies of my attorney's letter. HOA has no authority over me. Oh, and remember his backyard shed? Turns out it was built 6 inches over the setback line. Normally no big deal, but when the county came to inspect my new building, they noticed. He got a violation notice from the county, had to move the shed or pay big for a variance. After that, the whole neighborhood started pushing back. Complaints about the president's harassment, board members finally speaking up, and the kicker. Turns out the HOA was risking a lawsuit by trying to regulate agricultural properties against county code. The board rewrote the rules, voided all the president's bogus violations, and next election, he was out on his butt. Now, my barn's still standing, my goats and chickens are thriving, and I'm selling eggs at the farmer's market. The president, meanwhile, had to spend thousands moving his shed, and last I heard, he's struggling to sell his house. Turns out not everyone wants to live next to a chicken coop. Who knew? And I never once broke a rule. The guy wanted the law followed to the letter. I gave him the whole encyclopedia. So what do you think? Does justice always catch up, or did I just get lucky? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to fight back against a petty neighbor or a power-tripping HOA? Let me know. Let's get the debate going. And hey, if you enjoyed these stories, hit like, share your experience, and subscribe for more real-life tales of karma and sweet, sweet revenge.